How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews, back with a little bit of Treehouse Hopeful double IPA goodness in the form of their Cachet. Yeah, double IPA that they talk about, saying it's an Imperial IPA brewed with the copious amounts of oats and grist and cashmere hops in both the kettle and the dry hop. Yeah, they talk about peach and tangerine and fruit salad and tropical coconut and overripe mango. So we'll see what's what with this. Double IPA, they don't call out the ABV on this. This be just a scoosh over a month old. And it says Cachet rules everything around me. Yeah. Cash money. Cachet money. Dollar bills. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, so here we go. Yeah, this comes courtesy of my boy Steve. He dropped the Treehouse jams on me quite a bit often. And I'm excited to drink this one for one reason only. Not really. There's a couple reasons. It's Treehouse, Typically Steve sends me great beers. I am a sucker for black on gold. So label-wise, it is by far and away one of, if not my favorite Treehouse label I've ever seen, just because I like black and gold. I just like it. That color combination just works for me. Spells out classy. What does that look like? That looks like Treehouse Haze, to be perfectly honest with you. Rich, creamy, kind of milky. Almost looks like they always have this kind of soft, kind of like they have a little sorbet, kind of like lactose kind of thing going on in them when they don't. Pinky finger. Uniform bubble stains, a couple little stragglers floating around there. Even a little bit of lacing on the edge already. So it definitely looks the part of a nice, rich double IPA. Let's see if we can get a nose. It's Treehouse. They are Treehouse for a reason. They do it, and they do it quite well. And this kind of smells like what I typically get from these guys. But here's the thing. I never get tired of that typical that is Treehouse. You're getting that rich creaminess, OJ leaning. You're definitely getting a green, bright, kind of powdery, kind of keefy, kind of dankness off of it. A little bit of kind of stone fruits in there. Definitely getting those citrus components. Nothing overly bitter and grindy. All that green and bittering comes from that kind of keefy, danky, weedy portion of the show. Both of them in balance. Nothing too hefty. Smells like there's going to be a nice sweetness to it. Smells like there's going to be a nice mouthfeel to it. Smells like there's going to be a nice kind of bittering greenness to it. All the things I've come to love, especially from a brewery that does it quite well. Let's dive in. Cheers. It's delicious. Lighter than I thought it would be. It has a nice mouthfeel to it, but it doesn't have that super sultry, super creamy mouthfeel. That's why it ends up being a little bit lighter, a little bit more drinkable. Not necessarily a bad thing. I really do like that kind of sultry mouthfeel. But here, it brings that boldness of those hops. It brings that big fruit juice component, leaning a little bit more kind of juicy, fruity, gummy for me, more than anything else in the taste. Kind of a jump from what I expected based off of the nose, but puts it in a little bit more of a chuggable package. This is never going to be heavy. It's never going to be hefty. It might be a little bit palate fatiguey because that bittering is a little bit biting, but this is definitely a can that I will have no problems kind of putting down myself. So what do we get in here? Initial pop of creaminess, big kind of stone fruitiness at the beginning, kind of leads way to that nice kind of bittering component. Again, it comes off as that weed dankiness, but it's a little bit more bittering weed than kind of danky, ranky weediness, following up with a decent amount of OJ vibes. That bittering kind of lingering through the whole way and kind of sitting there, resting on your palate. Everything kind of starts to fade and wash away, but that bitterness is still prickly and kind of there, so it kind of lets you know you're drinking something of substance, something of oomph. I like this. Even though that mouthfeel kind of threw me for a loop, in the grand scheme of things, I think this might be a skosh better beer with that kind of typical water nerdy, sultry kind of mouthfeel. I kind of like this little bit of a twist, this little bit of a kind of difference than what I expected. It kind of works for me. Maybe I'm just a sucker for the, black and gold, but what am I going to say? It's fucking delicious. It's Treehouse. I say it pretty much every time I talk about these guys. Everybody kind of barks back and forth whether, their old place is the best, a new place, blah, blah, blah. I still think they make world-class beers, and they're pretty much up there, if not number one, on the hazy game. The other ones nipping at their heels nowadays. Fox Farm, I'm looking at you. There's a bunch of breweries that are really kind of taking up the mantle and doing their own things, but the one thing they're not doing is Treehouse beers. I don't think anybody really does them as well as they do. That's a good thing. So let's talk about it. Is this one of the better double IPAs that I've had as late? Yes, it's up there. Eking towards the top. Maybe not Mount Rushmore status, just because that's kind of hard group to kind of chime into nowadays. You're talking about a top 4 beer in the history of mankind, but it definitely wants to be there, and it definitely deserves being in the conversation. Value and availability, It's Treehouse. I'm assuming a double hazy like this is probably going to run you about $3 to $4 a can. I don't think that's a problem. No issues with that whatsoever. Because you're talking about 4 a can and you end up being like $16. That's kind of like below market value for a super high brewery. And leave you with, if you like what we like this, if you like good haze. If you're not afraid of a little bit of bitterness, you like new school haze boy goodness, and you like Treehouse. I mean, I know that's a little bit on the nose, but this is them to a T with a little bit of a twist of the mouthfeel that I think, in the grand scheme of things, is fun and not necessarily overtly negative, even though I think it would be a little bit better with that sultry mouthfeel. I kind of like it, and I dig it. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massa Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massa if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of double IPA goodness. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.